Greetings, loved ones. Welcome back to Doing It at Home. It's Sarah here. Before I get into today's topic, just want to remind you to please subscribe to our channel, give us that thumbs up, turn the notifications on, comment below. It really helps us to grow the channel, and we really appreciate your support. Okay. Let's do this. Deep breaths. Today's video is a little different. I am sitting down completely unscripted, really without a plan, so we'll see where this goes. This is some real, raw, authentic, transparent sharing around our conception journey, and the crux of it is I am giving up on having a second baby. Okay, so I'll give some context to that, and then I'll bring it back to give some history and some information. But the bottom line is I say giving up because that's the feeling that landed when I went through a pretty recent, we're talking in the past couple of weeks, breakdown to breakthrough. And I don't look at breakdowns as negative or catastrophic things. I've had enough of them over the years, or that's how I would relate to them and classify them, that they lead to breakthroughs. And so breakdowns are actually really powerful, really productive things that a lot of juice can be squeezed out of. So that's how we relate to them in this house and in our lives and in our relationship. And I see it as a very proactive breakdown. What I mean by that is that it is very productive, and I have been able and blessed to receive feedback around it. I've been incredibly supported, and I've been able to process. I've been able to be real with my emotions around it, acknowledge them, not suppress them or repress them. And the raw emotion that came up, brought on by my last period, was I feel like giving up. And so that is what I brought to the table when I shared it with some of those close to me, shared it with Matthew. And that's what it looked like. It was, I feel like giving up. And it has evolved since that initial feeling, but I want to honor that initial feeling because I think what comes with that, and maybe some of you out there can relate, we have been on this active journey of Open to Conceive since March of 2020. I want to start documenting this process, this experience. What I mean is making a baby. Making another baby. So having a second Bivens child, of which we are on path for and in creation mode of. And it feels so exciting, and it feels so sweet, and it feels so magical. Just know I want to be documenting as much as possible. We're officially, however you want to put it, trying, creating, we're officially.
No, try, we do.
We do.
Remember,
we do.
Yoda.
Do. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
No
it ties
try.
In perfectly.
We're doing it.
We're doing it, and then we're going to do it at home. 6-7 days DPO, and overall peaceful. And of course, there are tiny little moments of impatience and weakness, and I just want to know, regardless of what it is, I just want to know. I either want a positive sign on a P test or I want a period. I want one of those things, and still have to wait at least a week for that. I started bleeding and my period started a day early. So fascinating. So officially not pregnant, on my period, and with it bumping up a little bit early according to the tracker. That means that the fertile window and ovulation moved up. So that's interesting, Then, yeah. It's not getting attached to that at the same time, just, okay, aware and with this experience. And I'm grateful and peaceful. And this is faith affirming. This is trust and surrender affirming. This is acknowledging this as a unique experience from last time. This is cultivating compassion for those who this takes a lot longer, and it's a deeper struggle. And it's all of that. So I trust my body. I love my body. I love my family. I love the one baby that I have, and I love the future babies. Babies. I think we just made a baby.
But really though, if it didn't happen, we're getting so much closer. I can tell you that. We are far closer than we ever have been. Whatever just happened, I don't really have words for. Stay tuned. It's just weird. I just don't know. And I have to get with that. I just don't know what's going on in my body, what each little thing or twinge or swell or feeling is, and I want to know. My period is 2 days late, but tests are negative. I was at peace with my period by the time that it came, because some of the conversations that I've been having with myself, that Matthew and I had been having, and we've been sharing with others and getting their feedback and context around. And here is just a paradigm shifting, epic breakthrough that I know there's going to be more to this in our own personal lives, but I am so keen on putting more zhuzh around this concept and sharing it with as many as I can, because I know it can have impact. And that is the shift in mindset from us making a baby, creating physically a baby, and the mechanics of that, the logistics of that, the charts, the vitamins, the ovulation, the temperature, the position, the time of day, all of that aside, what I am now in the center of myself in around this experience is that we don't make a baby. We don't create a baby. We are creating the space within ourselves as individuals, as well as a couple, as a family, Maya included, and we are creating the optimal space to invite a baby in. Because there are choices being made all around us, and I believe on the other side of the veil, agreements being made, and I believe Maya, like I said, is a part of the process, and she is a part of this recruitment or party invitation that's been sent out, and the RSVP is not up to us. There are times when I've thought back to when we had Maya, and I thought about our life and our business and just everything that's transpired. I have thought once or twice, maybe we had Maya a little too soon. I've honestly thought that, and it was hard to think that and be okay with thinking that. But I've thought that. Now I have no shadow of a doubt that that was the exact divine time for Maya to come into being, because she chose, and because we were in that space and we created it perfectly, dare I say, for her, that matched her, and she was all about it. And so she chose to come through then. And that's why we had the experience that we did around conceiving her. Not because the day and the time was exactly right, but because the energy was aligned, and we brought her in, and she was attracted to that energy field that we had created. And it was not a chart or a day on the calendar. This is for me and my personal view and experience of it, and this is what's really healing for me, because it's allowed me to see the complete flow and divinity of how she came into be, and I am so at peace and joyful about that. And so I trust that that is exactly what is already happening. It's not that it's going to happen, it is already happening. The mechanisms are in place, the orbits are flowing, the things are aligning, it is happening, and we're just setting up an awesome fucking party for someone to join. At any point, if you had asked me prior to this, I would not have expected it to go this way. But when do things really go the way we exactly, envision it in our minds? I'm learning more and more, bit by bit, day by day, the importance of me having this experience and just the full scope that it provides me with, that I know is a part of and will be a part of who I am as a woman and mother, and then the space I can hold for others, and then what doing it at home continues to evolve to be for families and mothers and babies and partners. On the funny side of things, I feel like I always smell like semen. I do! always, or if it's not me, it's the semen.
I got up in the morning and I had actually been feeling some cramping in the night and when I woke up. And so when I went to use the bathroom, I was checking my cervix just to kind of see where it was at. But when I touched it, it felt open. And I thought that was really interesting. And so as I'm feeling it, my cervix felt open and I thought, I know what that means. And I took my hand out and there was blood all over my hand. And I just wasn't expecting to see that and shed a few tears along with the lining that I am shedding. And I actually called Matthew into the bathroom to just be with me for a second because I did allow myself to move through some emotion, and he was great. He was so awesome, so supportive. And, you know, I could tell he was taking a moment for himself as well to express his, you know, whatever you want to call it, some disappointment, some letdown, some just feeling it and being with it and allowing for whatever came up to come up. So you can't force your way through this. You can't fake it. You can't buy your way out of this. You can't have someone else do it for you. This is total Jedi surrender and spiritual stuff for me right now anyway.
Trusting that the order has been placed and it is with the universe and it is out of my hands. What I found myself doing with this particular part of my life, I found myself treating it differently and separately from other aspects of my life. I wasn't seeing the connection between it and my personal transformation and my growth and my healing. I was kind of putting it in its own separate box that here are all the things I'm doing and working on with myself and who I'm being and my health, my fitness, my sexual energy, my mental acumen and capacity, everything that I'm doing for myself, I had over here. And then I had making a baby, getting pregnant over here. And I was keeping it separate. And that it was special because it wasn't going the way that I ideally wanted it to, because it wasn't flowing like a lot of other things that I felt more in control of. So I'm going to put that over here. Of course, it's a part of it. I can't keep these compartments of my life, these lessons, these journeys separate and like they have nothing to do with my growth and my transformation because it's not going the way I would think it would. That is ego at its height. And so instead, what I'm seeing is it's not that it's separate. It has everything to do with the transformation here. It has everything to do with applying everything that I'm learning and the things that are going well and applying it to the thing that's challenging me, that has had me on my hands and knees, that has had me crying and questioning and doubting. That is the space. That's where the diamond gets polished. And that's where I'm learning, and that's where I'm growing, and that's where I'm surrendering, and that's where I'm trusting.
We, both myself and Matthew, felt a huge weight psychically, energetically, emotionally, mentally lifted after we did have the conversation that we did and put it out there for the Doing It at Home community, because I felt like it just normalized the experience in a way. And it kind of like when you're scared of the monster under the bed, you have to look and face it and see that it's not there. You know, when you kind of just let something out, purge it, clear it, it's not what you were giving it this big scary thing around. So I appreciated just normalizing the experience, and then in turn also getting some really great feedback, getting some really great just empathy and connection with other people going through similar experiences or have experienced it or could just relate on a human level. I think it adds to the purpose and the reasoning for this experience that we're having, and how we can share it, how we can create a new paradigm around this experience, how we can through the process continue to be in love with ourselves and each other and keep intimacy high and keep connection high and avoid the getting fixated on this goal and this objective and this end result, and to be present. So we're coming close to a year and a half, and that's been the active part of the journey. And by that, I mean, we've been intentionally making deposits, each month around ovulation. Prior to that, though, I had been envisioning, communicating with another baby, another human, another entity, another spirit. And at times, even further back than a year and a half, wanting to get pregnant and have another baby, but it just wasn't the right time. And so having to reconcile that. And it wasn't the right time for many reasons, where we were at personally, in business, just getting more settled and acclimated into ourselves as parents. And so I acknowledge that, but that doesn't diminish or take away from the fact that that's what I desired and wanted earlier than when we even started trying. And we shifted trying to open to conceive because that's just what resonated with us more. And, you know, the energy around the words and the intentionality of it around all that was important to us. So that evolved as we moved along in the journey. And we opened up the conversation in the doing it at home space. I think around October is when we published our first podcast episode talking about it and just sharing the real raw emotions that had come up around the surprise, the confusion, the frustration, the anger around why it was taking so long in our minds and in our rational, logical minds. And that's, you know, we've been very open about the ebbs and flows, and it's been really beautiful to receive feedback and response along the way from the community, whether it's those who can relate and can empathize because of their own journeys, or those that they know, or they just have that compassion. And so it's been really beautiful, and I really appreciate the support. You know, in one realm, it can feel very strange and odd to have essentially thousands of people aware of what's going on in your reproductive plans and in your bedroom, and have people cheering and rooting you on one hand. In one perspective, that can be very strange and very overwhelming, and that doesn't mean it doesn't feel like that at times, but overall we've maintained a very overall average of a powerful perspective on it. And we very much are about intentionality and energy. And so all of you out there who have been space holding for it, you know, we're so appreciative. And, you know, even at times with suggestions like read this or eat this or do that or don't do that, you know, I receive it all in love. And even if there are moments where I think I don't need another suggestion, I don't need someone telling me another thing, I receive it all in love. And I know it's about the intentionality, and that people are holding space for us to create what we have desired. All of that being said, I feel like it was building, just because it's been a year and a half. It's been a very significant amount of time. We've experienced a lot over the past year. The world has experienced a lot over the past year. And I think I got sick and tired of being at the whim of my emotions and what my body was doing. I was essentially allowing whether or not a period showed up to kind of dictate how I was feeling. And I think I just reached a critical tipping point. I don't know why I'm recording this. I just pushed the button. Something led me to push the button, so I'm just gonna trust that and roll with it. This is real time in the moment, just allowing myself to feel, just allowing it to come out. Period started about 40 minutes ago. This is not what I thought. This is not what I saw. This is not what I thought. I do trust at one point I will see and experientially understand that it couldn't have been any other way, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. And of course there are a lot of questions that I don't have answers to, and I don't think anyone really has answers to them. So that's me right now, walking out of a coffee shop crying. I don't think I've ever been through something this challenging, but I guess that's what each challenge feels like. It feels harder than the last. Oh, this will be fun to edit. Let's see if I do anything with this. Just allowing myself to feel and to remember, because I'm pretty sure I'll watch this at some point in the future and think, wow, can you
believe that. I can't believe that's what I was feeling and going through. And I'll be holding my baby, and I'm just really grateful. Take some deep breaths. Take care of myself today. Love on myself. Do what I need for me. That's the best I can do. Use my tools. I have access to a lot of great things. I have access to people and support and ways to heal and ways to process. That's it.
I think with a lot of us, when we make big shifts or when we turn corners, we just become sick of what the current situation is. You know, you become so sick of the bullshit, or you get so tired of it being a certain way that it cracks and opens up to a different way. And I think that's what happened this past month. My period came and I just sobbed. And I felt really emotional. And so interestingly, you know, it was also, I'll back up for a second. It was also interesting because for a moment there, I really thought I was pregnant. This past month, and I was late, which isn't super typical. Late, what does that even mean? And I had a little bit of nausea. My breasts were tender in a way that I hadn't really experienced before. So I was starting to get into the mode of like, we're pregnant. This is pregnancy. We are pregnant. And so my period came, and my period happened to come on the day I was slated to attend a baby shower. It just all culminated. And so I saw the blood, just started crying. Matthew held me. And one of the first things that came up for me were, I can't go to this baby shower today. I cannot go to a baby shower today. And we're big on keeping your commitment, keeping your word, honoring it. And the lesson and the beautiful thing I got to experience is there's honoring your word and your commitments, but it starts with yourself. And that's the place to honor commitments and agreements first. And then from that, everything else is an extension from that. So I honored my commitment to self by choosing to stay home from that event and that experience for my own energy and for the energy of others, you know, as well. So I made that call, and I was very supported in that call by Matthew, by a couple of beautiful women. There really are, it's difficult to put into words the bonds and the sisterhood that I have with these 5 other women. And we meet frequently and we support one another, and we're really family. And they just held me physically and energetically in love later that day and allowed me to cry. And the first thing that I said is, I feel sad. And it sounds so simple and basic and rudimentary, but by just acknowledging that and owning that, 3 words, I feel sad, period, was very healing, was very releasing. And I felt weight. I literally felt weight come off of me and shift off of me. And so I said, I feel sad. They allowed me to cry. I said, I can't go to this baby shower. They said, then don't go to this baby shower. And I said, got it, cool. And I said, I feel like giving up. And so going back to what I originally said at the top of this, I felt like giving up. And one of them asked, well, what does giving up look like? And I said, giving up looks like throwing out any stick that I have to pee on, whether it's telling me I'm pregnant or not, or I'm ovulating or not, throwing out any of those that I have in the house, not looking at a calendar anymore, not tracking, and just going with the flow of my body, stopping vitamins and any other things, you know, in preparation. And that's not to say I'll stop those forever and that they're not valuable and important to do when you're in a conception journey. It's more about the mindset and the habit of it. And I believe I'm very well nourished and I take care of my body as is. So I'm not diminishing the value or necessity of prenatals and things like that. But just for me right now, it's all about the mindset, and it's about the releasing and the letting go. And I conceived Maya with taking prenatals maybe for like half a second before we got pregnant. So anyway, again, just a side note, all 4 prenatal vitamins, especially when you're open to conceive. However, when some things shift and your mindset and your well-being and your personal peace is coming into question, then, you know, do what you need to do. So that's one of them. And whatever else comes with it, you know, so I said that's what giving up feels like and looks like. And again, here comes the permission, like just giving people permission is such a beautiful thing. She said, and they all echoed, so then give up in that way, what you're describing. Because what I was describing wasn't defeat. It's shifting things to be more supportive of where I'm at right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And so now I can evolve giving up to letting go and surrendering and releasing in a different way. And when I did that, I felt so much lighter. I felt this weight lifted off me. I felt like someone came in and said, we got this. Take a load off. Put your feet up. Rest. We got this. And that is what happened in a sense. I had people supporting me in that, but I didn't necessarily need anyone to rescue me. It was me orchestrating that. It was me manifesting this opportunity to save myself, essentially. And that's a really powerful thing. And I'm very present to the growth that speaks to in me over the past year and a half and beyond, you know, prior to that. But that I can count on myself, that I trust myself, and I love myself to take care of myself first. And so if the way I've been going about this hasn't been serving me to be my highest, fullest, most expressed, glorified me, then let's shift some things up, babe. So that's the conversation I've been having with myself, and that's the permission I gave myself. And so right now in this moment, it feels really great. It feels really great on one hand to have released this expectation and the numbers and the charts and the just all that stuff, and to just be in flow and have unprotected lovemaking like all the time, and not worry about when it is or what time of day or how long it's been since a previous emission or anything like that. So to just be is such a blessing, and I'm really, really grateful. And I'm doing this by myself and not with Matthew, because obviously I know he's part of this equation. And there's something about what's been going on with me personally over the past few weeks. And this is my breakthrough. I have experienced Matthew more unattached in a healthy way to the outcome of this journey. He has been in a more, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to happen when it happens. And at times that was super frustrating for me, that I would judge it, and I would be jealous on one hand, because I'm like, how can he be so chill about this? And how can he be so unattached? So there's kind of jealous that I couldn't be more like that. But then there would also be some anger and resentment that would come up. Like, do you not care? Oh, you just don't want to have another baby then. You just don't want to have another baby. That's the conclusion I would jump to, because he wasn't so active and involved and in the charts and doing the things. And, you know, I would get frustrated with that. So this is my breakthrough, and it's been co-created. So many people have been a part of it, and I acknowledge that. And that's just why I'm doing this by myself right now in this moment, because it is very about the growth I'm having in this situation, in my own letting go and my own releasing of attachment. What does it look like going from here? I've already said I'm not looking at charts. I'm not looking at calendars. I threw out any pee sticks that I had in the house. I stopped taking things that I was, whether it's vitamins, just mindset shifts as well, internal conversation. you know, at times I would think about the future or the next month. Well, I'm going to be pregnant, so XYZ, or I'm going to be pregnant, so I shouldn't do this, or I should do this. Just not having things beholden to that or attached to that as an outcome, as a result, and just living my life, living my life, and being present with Matthew and with Maya, who is such an incredible human being that I'm so honored to be her mother and to love her and to guide her. And she is just flourishing. She is completely blossoming into this young person and human being. And I've really felt a shift at 5 years old. I've really felt a new Maya emerging, and that I've been able to be present every step of the way with that. There's a reason for that. So I receive that and I honor that. So what it means going from here, like I said, I'm releasing that stuff. Will any of it pick back up at some point? Maybe, because I'm going to be shifting. I'm going to be growing. I'm going to be evolving. And in a couple months' time, I might be in a headspace where I can take the vitamins and not be attached or bent on anything or stressed or anxious about anything. Maybe I'll pop into a calendar and look at the cycle of things. That's all a possibility. I'm about possibility, and I'm about what's effective. And I just know that up until this point, some things were becoming ineffective. And so it just becomes about getting back to your center, getting back to balance, because it's inevitable to come off of it. We're human. So, you know, it's just about how can you stay closest to your balance and your centeredness. How can you stay as close to it as possible for as long as possible? And when you get off, how quickly can you get back on? How can you minimize that time frame? And so for this whole thing to be pretty loaded and have a lot with it, it got back into center. I'm very pleased with how it got back into center and where I'm feeling in myself about it. That's what I have right now. You all have been so amazing, and there have been questions, you know, coming up recently about our journey and how we're feeling and how we're doing. So to address that, as well as just share, as well as, you know, I believe this could resonate and connect with someone. This is not advice. This is not telling you what you should do. If you're on a journey like this, this is just my personal experience and my evolution of it, to feel like I want to give up, to, okay, there's some things I can let go of. There's some things I can release, and I'm letting go. I'm letting go. And I think that's a really applicable lesson outside of childbearing and conceiving, you know, in life, for the things that we can't control, things that are out of our center of influence, to let go and to allow. There you have it. If you have any feedback, if you want to share any thoughts, if this resonates with you, please feel free to comment below. You can reach out to us. Would really appreciate it as well if you subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, turn the notifications on. Really appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out and letting me share. Love you. See you next time. Bye.